Welcome to the Port's Garrison. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Greetings and welcome to the Port's Garrison. As always, I'm your host, Phil the Poet. If you're visiting for the first time, I want to thank you. And if you like the content, please, I implore you to subscribe. If you're a regular viewer, a subscriber, as always, I want to thank you for your support. Now, I like to watch the sittings of the Jamaica Senate and the Parliament. Now, recently, I saw a presentation by firebrand Senator Damion Crawford, where he signaled that he'll be asking the court to make a declaration as to whether the government was in breach of Section 13K of the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. Now, Section 13K of the Charter declares it is a right of every child who is a citizen of Jamaica to publicly funded tuition in a public educational institution at the pre-primary and primary levels. According to Senator Crawford, and I quote, "We want for the courts to tell us if it is constitutional based on Section 13K that a child with a right to a government institution is not being robbed of that right if the government at the early stage of 0 to 3 has 6% spaces and at the second stage of 3 to 6 has 15% of the space." Now, basically what he's saying is the government is not putting in place enough facilities for the young generation, pre-K and primary. Not enough classroom spaces is being provided for them. And he says, according to the Constitution, according to the Charter of Fundamental Rights, this is their rights. Now, let's take a listen and a look at Senator Crawford.
Of the 2,676 early childhood institutions that have applied for registration, it is reported that only 408, or 15.2%, are identified as public institutions fully funded by government. What we have here is that only 15% of our early childhood institutions are government-provided institutions. The need spaces being provided by the Jamaican government lies in contravention of Section 13K of the Charter of Rights, which declares that it is the right of, and I quote, every child who is a citizen of Jamaica to publicly funded tuition in a public education institution at the pre-primary and primary levels. Senator Golden Campbell, I'm going to repeat this for your benefit. Section 13K of the Constitution, this is the Charter of Rights. It says it is the right of every child who is a citizen of Jamaica to publicly funded tuition in a public education institution at the pre-primary and primary level. Our current situation is that the government only has 15%. When the Charter rights say them have a right. Now, how could 15% satisfy that right? We go further. There's a big thing being celebrated called Brain Builders. Brain Builders is supposed to be from 0 to 3-year-old. It has 6,000 spaces, less than 6,000 spaces. The age cohort is 105,000. That means a Brain Builders is less than 6% of the cohort, 0 to 3-year-old. And we have heard it a million times repeated. We are not going to be able to tinker and change to crimson. We have to make dramatic investment. Dramatic investment. And based on that Charter of Rights, Senator Golding, a legal luminary as you are, I have engaged some lawyers, and we are taking to court, seeking a declaration that the government of Jamaica, through its inability to construct adequate pre-primary institutions across the 14 parishes of Jamaica, abrogates, abridges, or infringes the guaranteed constitutional right or rights set out in the provisions of the Constitution, specified in respect to each provision or group of provisions in the Act. We want for the courts to tell us if it is constitutional based on Section 13K, that a child with a right to a government institution is not being robbed of that right if the government at the early stage of 0 to 3 have 6% spaces, and at the second stage of 3 to 6 have 15% of the spaces. Because the JLP has tried so hard for me not to change policy in the parliament, then I have to go to the courts to change that policy. But we are going to ask for an opinion, a declaration, so that, sorry? Yeah, I can't answer for 1962. Exactly. I wasn't even born. But I must say, a lot of these things I'm now being exposed to over time. I'm sure you have learned some new things since you have come in. Some things that you assumed not to be so, you have found to be so. But also because the government has always been at a contradiction to the Constitution, I've learned how to challenge that. And so, therefore, having learned that, I'm just trying a new strategy. But what is clear is that the government keeps failing the materiality test of policy making. The materiality test suggests that more persons should benefit from government intervention and not just the PR activity to say we have done. 6% is not satisfactory for brain builders to be such a big situation.
Now, forceful as always, the senator is. You can't blame him for being forceful and confident and forthright. Now, but tell me, do you think he's off on a frolic of his own? Do you think he has solid grounds to stand on in making this case and bringing this case to the court? Do you think he's doing something significant for the future of Jamaica? What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comment section if you think he has a case, if he can win this case, and what would be the implications for the government and the implications for Senator Crawford. Now, until something else stirs my conscience, stirs my thought, my thinking, I want to thank you for your support. And I want to wish you all the best. As always, it's enough manners, enough respect. Thanks for watching.